This space was downloaded via spacesdown.com. Visit to download your spaces today.
In God, we trust. Now it's time to stand up, speak out, and be heard. In a world that's tired and broken, where the truth gets pushed aside, where the voice that's in the darkness, where the fire we will not hide. From the pews to the streets, we're rising, with our hands and hearts held high. This is more than just a moment. This is freedom's battle cry. No more silence, no more fear. We're born for times like these. This is our revival. Hear the people call. Freedom standing tall. We will not fall. We rise together. One and all stand and speak out here. Let the truth stay up this world. This is the revival. And we won't back down. No, we won't. From the kitchen tables praying to the streets where justice cries, with a backbone of this nation, with conviction in our eyes. We remember who we are and the price of liberty. My hate will hope and courage to defend what must stay free. Hand in hand, heart to heart. This is where healing starts. This is the river. Hear the people come, standing tall. We will not fall. We rise together. One and all stand. Be out here. Let's take out this world. This is the revival. No, we won't back down. No, we won't back down. We are mothers, we are fathers, we are workers, we are strong, we are praying mixed with action, and we waited far too long. This is love that fights for children. This is faith that never dies. This is a love for remembering. With the blind, still. This is the revival. Feel the ground now shake. We won't break. We choose our way. We courage. Lighting up the day. Say, we are. We are. It's the revival. It's right now. It's right now. It's the revival. In God we trust. Stand up. Stand up. Wow. Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to the Revival of America podcast. I don't know about you guys, but every time I hear that theme song, my theme song that Carmen wrote for me, I get the chills. But anyway, I want to welcome you guys. If you guys don't mind going down to the Purple Pill and reposting this space, get some more people in here. We need to get more people in here to hear what Jason has to say regarding his 3D response systems that he's putting in these schools out there. So he is here today, everybody. And for those of you that don't know who I am Jenny. I'm the owner and the host of the Revival of America. Many of you see me. I do. I said do. I do spaces here. Not as many as many others. I am very sporadic with my spaces because there's some people that would rather do them here. Some would rather do them just recorded, myself and the guest, or they like to go over on Telegram. So when you see me here, I welcome you here. However, if you are a troll, if you're an agitator, I don't deal with it. I don't do drama. We see that stuff right away. I will call it out and we'll get rid of you. So that's not what my podcast is about. It's about my guest, their story, their journey, and then I integrate you as the audience to come in and talk to myself or the guest and ask questions because your voice matters as well. So with that, Jason we've got about an hour. If we have more, if we need more time than that, then we can do that as well. But I want to welcome Jason to the stage. How are you, Jason?
Running around like a chicken with his head cut off.
Dude, you crack me up all the time. Like I just love I don't know, your sense of humor. It's just kind of like, I don't know. You crack me up all the time. So, well, that's good. That's a good thing with a chicken with no head, right? Running around.
Yeah, yesterday somebody asked me that and I said fair to horse shit. And I said, what?
Oh my God, I love it. I love it. So what's going on? So that busy? I'm sure you're that busy with the 3D response systems. I know you wanted to talk about some of the things that have been going on. I don't know. It's been what 2-3 weeks since you've been on here last.
Yeah. Yeah, we got the 3 contracts are underway and just finished the cost assessment and the design, and now another school is coming on board. And at the same time, unbeknownst to me, there's actually 4 legislative bills in the House and 1 in the Senate, all for our company, all authored by Republicans. So I'm getting pulled back into the political arena, which is frustrating, to be honest.
Well, I mean, that's huge. I mean, you've come a long ways since you started this, but I mean, just within the last three weeks, this is big.
It is, and I mean, 5 bills is better than 1. But it's interesting. I never really understood politics until I got approached by a state legislator to make our system into a building code. And he took basically our patent and converted it into bill language. And if that, my fear is if we don't do something that's common sense and we keep talking about guns, that it's going to take 100 kids to lose their lives before we actually take it seriously and start doing something now than just a 30-year ongoing argument about guns.
Right.
It's just nauseating.
So real quickly, for those that don't know about your system, can you kind of go over it a little bit for those that don't know and that will listen to the replay? Because we are being listened to in over 100 countries, everybody. So if you come in late to this podcast here, you can listen to it on any of the podcast hosts or the social medias. And I forgot to give you those. So those are iHeartRadio, Spotify, Anchor, Apple, Google, Breaker, Pocket Cast, Podbean, Riverside, Amazon Music. Social medias are Jenny Dreed Facebook, at Jenny_Dreed X, at JDreed Rumble, at JDreed True Social, at JDreed Instagram, the Revival of America over on Telegram, and then the Revival of America on YouTube. So yeah, if you want to share this or listen to it, the replay, you can do that. So go ahead, Jason. Yeah, tell the audience what your systems are about. It's about the kiddos, everybody.
Yeah, it started for me back when I got asked to be the school resource officer, and I was in a school of just over 2,000 kids, and then me. And this is, shortly after Columbine. There's a couple other shootings in there, and as I'm walking through the halls, I couldn't help but think of how how this is such a target-rich environment. And as police officers, we like to what if things, like what if a gun came out here, or where would I go? Where's my closest point of exit? Where is my nearest cover? And you start with that mindset walking through schools, and it's just a very, very soft target, and there really is no tactical response. So I took it upon myself to start training our police department on how to respond. And this is before run, hide, fight. This is before the police terms of like 3 Echo and the diamond patterns and whatever. This was kind of bare bones. But I did that training for a few years, and it evolved over time, as did the response that we were teaching the teachers and the children. After Columbine, it was lockdown. And I think that was a reactive response because of Harrison Klebold's plan to get everybody to rush out of the building. And then after, I think it was 2010, right around Sandy Hook, Run, Hide, Fight was born. And that was born primarily because what the hell else are you going to do? So I was teaching Run, Hide, Fight for a while as well to the staff. And I kind of came to the conclusion that the building is just not supporting this response, and the building's not supporting the police response. So I worked undercover narcotics for a period, and one of my partners on there, Peter Matos, him and I got talking after Sandy Hook, and I can swallow dead. I mean, I can handle a dead adult. I've seen a lot of dead bodies, but dead kids, those ones are not fun to handle, and those ones actually keep me up at night. And I've literally gotten in my squad car and driven away from giving a 2-year-old CPR and just bawled back to my house. And it's gut wrenching to see dead children. So we kind of took the bull by the horn. We said, nobody's doing anything about this. So Pete was a SWAT guy and I was a school cop. And we kind of put our minds together and said, okay, what do the stakeholders, first, who are the stakeholders? It's the kids, the teachers, and the cops. Those are the 3 groups that are going to be involved. And what tools can we give those stakeholders to provide a tactical response, which involves cover, concealment, and communication? So we looked at the school from the outside or the inside out, whereas most people look at schools for safety from the outside in, because you can't predict that the gun's going to come through the vestibule. You don't know where that first exposure is going to be. So we looked at the entire building. No matter where it happens, our system will come into play to minimize loss of life. So fast forward to today, and what we do is we basically walk a building. One of the Catholic schools we're installing in now, we walked it. We designed our system with that cover, concealment, communication in every square foot of that school. And now we have effectively, we'll provide the teachers, we basically empower them, and we keep it simple to take their target-rich school and make it target-less with cops on the way within 60 seconds. And every child in there is ballistically safe. Their doors have 1,200 pounds of magnetic pressure on it. The windows are enhanced. There's an internal dispatching system that guides the officers to the suspect, saving literally 5 minutes on average. And it finally creates an effective plan to respond, because right now the response is basically in the bad guy's hands until bad guy says it's over. And we need to empower the teachers to take their building back. And right now they just don't have the resources to do so. And 3D Response basically provides those resources with the goal of minimizing loss of life.
So what have been some of your pushbacks? Because I know you had some pushbacks in regards to getting this in this. I mean, it, like you said, it should be in all the schools, right? What have been some of your major challenges?
The biggest one is a political party that starts with a D. They won't even come look at it. I've given probably 2 or 3 dozen tours to state legislators in Minnesota and outstate, and I think we've had 1 Democrat come and see it. We just gave a tour to the parents of the victims of the Annunciation school shooting. And this is sad. It's actually evil, but the day that those children died, Moms Demand Action and the political party that starts with a D were on them about this is the gun's fault. and they literally convinced them, like, for lack of a better term, almost brainwashed that get rid of the guns, your kids are alive. And they're using them as a mouthpiece for their mission to get rid of guns. So I'm giving the tour to this one dad whose daughter died. And I said, "So what do you think?" And he goes, "This is not what I was expecting." Oh, well, what were you expecting? I was expecting iron bars on windows and metal detectors everywhere in a very cold feeling building. And I said, "Well, who told you that?" He said, "Everybody in the Democratic Party says when they hear 3D response, they think of making the schools look like a prison." And he said, "It's the complete opposite. You can't even see it." So it's the inability or the unwillingness of people to come look at it and creating a perception that just isn't true. And it to the point where that's why they don't come, because they don't want to see a school look like a prison. And all the Republicans are saying, go see it. You're completely wrong. That's been probably the biggest pushback. The second pushback is money. I get a lot of schools saying, well, it's not in our budget. And I try to convince them that, there's a lot of things that aren't in your budget, but you have the power to go out and ask the citizens of your town, do you want a new football field? And here's why we need it. Well, I guarantee you, if you go out to the citizens of your community and ask for a referendum or a levy on school safety, it'll vote yes. In fact, the district that we got installed in of 16 schools, they attached a swimming pool to it because they knew our system would pass. They knew the pool wouldn't on its own. So they put it together to get both. And the problem that lies in there is when school districts go out and they ask for referendums or levies, they're not defining what school safety is. So the biggest hurdle is we have to define school safety. And until we define it, much like a fire code, you're going to see different styles and different perceptions of school safety across this nation with no consistency. And we're already seeing that. School A thinks cameras and visitor management is school safety, and then school B thinks metal detectors and brighter parking lot lights. None of which will ever stop a bullet, but that's their definition of school safety. So we have to define it. And right now it's trying to educate people that haven't been brainwashed to a point of no return, that we didn't start this to go after guns. We didn't start this in favor of guns. We didn't start this in opposition to guns. This system literally takes the gun conversation out of it altogether. But it's political. It's sadly, the lives of our children are being held hostage by a political party because they just want to go after our guns and argue about guns, which has been going on for 30 years. The argument needs to stop.
And I think that's what everybody needs to understand here. It is political, and it is based around the guns and them taking our guns. So, but you've been making some movement down there, in DC. Obviously, you've got these bills that are coming up, and then Linda McMahon was supposed to come see you, correct, up in Minnesota?
Yeah, that got postponed due to weather. I did give a tour to the president of America First, and he drank the Kool-Aid. He's all in. He goes, "What do we do?" I mean, he was very blown away by it. I was just talking to one of my silent partners, and there was a school shooting threat in a neighboring city that has, I think, 47 schools, and the Republicans took to the news today and said, "This is why our bill needs to pass." Well, there's an organization out there, and I'm trying to find this letter, and I'm going to actually post it. I'm still going back to frustrations I've had. So I gave a tour to 2 Moms Demand Action people 3 years ago, and the bill at the time was called the SHIELD Act. I gave them a tour, and the one mom was actually almost in tears. And like, why isn't this in every school? Of course we'll write the letter. So we got a Moms Demand Action letterhead endorsement for the SHIELD Act. Representative Engen, who was the author of the bill, took that letter and brought it up to the Democrats. And the exact phrase was, "How did you get this? This is our group." And then 20 minutes later, he got a phone call from the national president of Moms Demand Action retracting the letter. And that was the moment where I woke up and realized how evil this topic is. And you have an organization pretending to keep our kids safe, but in reality, they just want guns. Everything's the gun's fault. And again, until we get off that gun narrative, we're not going to move forward. And we haven't been moving forward for 30 years. It's literally the definition of insanity.
How
That's
many how many states is your system in, or schools, I should say, maybe? How many are you at right now?
We're in about, with contracts signed, we're in, I think it's 21 or 22 schools.
And your goal?
All of them.
Yeah, that's a big goal. How many schools are there?
A lot.
I can imagine. So yeah, everybody, like, we need to help Jason get this out. So I'm gonna be putting this. Obviously, this podcast will go out to all the other locations you can find me, but also too, I'm gonna be putting it in emails and addressing it to some people to get it out there. So if you guys know anybody that might be interested in this, or we can get it out there to somebody, please email me at therevivalofamerica@yahoo.com. We can get you in touch with Jason and his staff. I'm going to be creating a page on my website at therevivalofamerica.com, to have a page there just for Jason and his 3D systems, response systems, so people can go on there, watch the videos, see some. Do you have any testimonials of the schools that so far have you in there?
Yeah, there's quite a few on the website on the bottom.
Okay, that's good. Okay, so obviously the testimonials are good.
Oh yeah, all of them. The biggest one, like from teachers, is they can teach again, or we finally have a plan. When I was teaching Run, Hide, Fight, what I found was the biggest anxiety for teachers was having to make a decision on, do I stay or do I go, while under immense stress. And if I go, which way am I going, and how am I going to keep all my kids together while I'm going, and where am I going? And then to stay, it was anxiety for them because they knew that they couldn't conceal their kids well enough. They have no cover. And basically you're just barricading your door with chairs. So they didn't buy into that. I mean, they're common sense folks. They're like, this ain't going to stop anybody. But it was just a barbaric response. And to go from that to just push a button and you pull out a ballistic feature, and you just provided cover, concealment, and instant communication, cops on the way, literally within less than 5 seconds. I've watched a school of 2,000 kids go from target rich to target less in a minute.
Wow, that's got to be gratifying for these teachers to know that they're safe. You know what I mean? Because I mean, just what you just described. I mean, that's pretty quick.
Yeah, in fact, after we do these trainings, I'd come back and say hi to the teachers, and I'd see a baseball bat in the corner, or they got some bear spray in their desk, and they were afraid to unlock their door, because all these schools, you have to lock it from the outside. Well, a lot of teachers had fumbled with getting their key in the hole under that much stress to even lock their door. In fact, Columbine, one of the teachers couldn't get their door locked. So what I found was a lot of teachers were putting magnets in the corner so the door would never fully shut. And just for them to actually quicker secure their room, they would just pull the magnet out. Well, as we're walking these schools over time, we found that all these door frames have been warped because of this magnet and shifted, and they're off keel. So that's neither here nor there. But teachers, they teach in fear. A lot of them do. They pray that this isn't going to happen here. A lot of administrators would take their chances on not putting the fire suppression system in because it costs money. And I think that's the mindset with a lot of the educational leadership is, it ain't going to happen here. And what you see is a big rush to do something after there's dead children. And we need to stop that and be smarter than that. Let's get in front of it and be prepared, because hope is not a good plan.
So on an average, what are you seeing? And maybe, I don't know if you said this at the beginning of the show or not. How many school shootings on an average are we seeing a year? And with those school shootings, unfortunately, the loss of children, what's the average number?
it's hard to come up with it because there's so many different definitions defining what an active shooter is. I can tell you in my experience with the schools, either being a school cop or supervising the school resource officer program, we were averaging, I would say, 4 to 5 legitimate active shooter threats per calendar school year annually, and that's just one school district. So
This space was downloaded via spacesdown.com. Visit to download your spaces today.
the threats are a lot more prevalent than people think they are, and a lot of the threats the public doesn't even know that a threat has come in. Um, they'll hold that back until it's absolutely necessary, or the threat is that serious that they'll cancel school that day. But the threat is very prevalent. I think you go across this country and you would be hard pressed to find a school that doesn't experience some sort of threat on an annual basis every year.
Wow. Yeah, that's scary. All right, everybody. If you guys have questions for Jason, please feel free to request a mic. I will unmute your mic. I want to say hi to Stellar. How are you doing, Stellar?
Doing wonderful. I'm really glad that Jason's and you are having this space. This is so important for the safety of our children. It's also peace of mind for those of us who have to work and our children or grandchildren are in schools, knowing that there's a protocol that's in place, that we're not arming teachers or anyone else that could, without that kind of training. I mean, I really like the 3D response, and I really like that people are being made aware of it, and hopefully we can get this nationwide.
Yeah, it's if you guys haven't watched that video, it's up in the jumbotron right here. Kind of shows you what his system is about. And at the end of the day, everybody, it's about protecting our children, because we know guns don't kill people. It's the person behind the gun, and the way that it's being, and what we're being shown is that they're having these NPCs or whoever they want just go out there. They're going after our children, however way, whether it be our food, through the shootings, whatever it is. So like I said, if you guys know somebody that's interested in something like this in your community, let us know. Reach out to me at therevivalofamerica@yahoo.com, and we will get you in touch with Jason and his staff. Because now, Jason, what you do is you go down and you fly down to these different locations, you look at their schools, and give them the presentation. How does that work?
The first one would probably be just if it's out of state, probably a Teams meeting or a Zoom meeting, explain the system. And then the next step would be I would fly out there, or one of my team members would fly out there and give a presentation to like a school board or parents. Interestingly, I would rather talk to parents than school boards. There's a little game that's played in the public sector. They don't like complainers. They don't like loud parents. They don't like the opportunity to vet something second. So if the parents get on board with it, the school board is elected folks. They answer to the community. If the parents are demanding it, it's really hard for a school board to say no. But if I talk to a school board, the school board in return can go back to the parents and say, we listen to them and it's just not something we're interested in, versus a parent saying, did you watch the same presentation I did? And so I would prefer to have parents involved in the process to keep the school boards honest, because they do not like whiny parents. And by whiny, I mean that in a good way. So yeah, then I would fly out, or somebody would fly out, and then the first contract would be basically the custom design of the system and a cost assessment. And then the second contract would be the installation of the entire system. And then we'd come back and train the entire staff and local police department on the enhancements of the building, because it does greatly enhance the response.
And how long typically does something like this take to install? And the disruption of the school, is that a big issue? Is that an issue that you've had to get around at all? Because I'm assuming you're probably doing this in segments of the school, right, during school hours, or how does that work?
So the district we were in during the school year, they were coming in after hours, and it's really not. It's not as intrusive as you think it might be. It's low voltage, and then the ballistic materials. We've got it to kind of plug and play for the ballistics. Low voltage is not, that's very non-intrusive. They can work during school hours, but I would say we were averaging about 4 months of building to get it completed.
Oh, that's not bad. That's not bad at all. And then you've been doing this for how long, trying to get this system out there to the public? How long you been doing it?
We formed the LLC in 2014, and we got our first install in 2018, and the first public school district in 2020. And then this year we've added 3 with one more ready to sign and another one that is just started communicating with us. But funny, it's all Catholic schools. Shocking.
Oh wow.
Well, and that goes back to what I said, is if it's not an issue until it hits you upside the face. And then, so the Catholic schools got hit upside the face in Minnesota. And again, good for them, they're getting in front of it, but we shouldn't have to wait for dead children to do it. That's probably my biggest frustration is, why are we waiting? You know, I look at Uvalde and I watch the footprints, and I'm like, if our system was in Uvalde, there's not one dead kid. And I put the onus on educational leaders to do the right thing the first time. And you can say all you want that we take your child's safety as our number one priority. I call bullshit on that. That's just a statement. You're not acting on it.
No, I agree 100%. I agree. And are you mainly in? Well, it sounds like all schools. From from middle school, elementary, high school. Is it all schools or?
Yeah, even we have a contract with daycare.
Wow.
And a lot of the Catholic schools have infant rooms, and so yeah, it's pretty much we actually had a bid for a dental office because downtown Minneapolis during George Floyd, they were taking rounds, and they called us. They wanted their dental office to be secured by us. Well, it never came to fruition, but we did design a dental office. It never came to fruition because they closed it down. They couldn't keep employees.
Okay, so that opens that up for something else. This is not just designed for schools. However, I mean, it was originally, this is your vision, right? But it can be a system for, like you say, a dental office. It can be a security system for anything.
Yeah, ER, hospitals. We even, after the murders of the politicians up here, there was some talk about 3D response doing residential homes. People that were being targeted. There are some houses up here that do have the application of kind of what our system is, but these folks are CEOs of billion-dollar companies. But after the medical insurance guy was murdered in New York, those folks really kind of started calling out for security help to their homes and their families. So yeah, it literally, if it's a room, we can fix it up.
Wow, that's awesome. All right, guys. Oh, I'm gonna. You guys have to have questions for Jason, I'm sure. I mean, this is regarding the kiddos. So if you guys have a question, please request a mic. Don't be nervous. No question is ever a dumb question. And I will bring you up on the stage and you can ask Jason your question. Go ahead, Stellar.
So the best way that we could probably get these systems in is by educating other parents. So like in the PTOs and, like Girl Scouts or Boy Scouts or whatever our children are involved in would probably be the best way, you think, of getting awareness, so that way we can get some changes done, so that hopefully we can not have any more children, or combat it so that we don't have to keep losing children in scenarios with what's going on with society right now.
Yeah, and I can tell you, when you talk to a school board or not all of them, but the majority of the ones I've talked to, they're an expert in everything. And it's almost like this empowerment that I make the decisions. And I think a lot of elected officials have lost touch with reality of who actually is in charge of them. And the only reason we got into the first district we did was because the superintendent of the school happened to be a retired Army lieutenant colonel who spent most of his career in the Middle East. He's been injured in battle. He understands tactics. And you go to the next school and you get a career educator who thinks cameras are security. And it's a lack of education. It's a lack of mindset that there are bad people in this world. And some people just live with their head in the sand, thinking that every day is beautiful and the flowers are always smelling good. But reality is there is evil in this world. But that's what you're up against. So this was a grassroots movement to keep our kids safe. And I think it's going to be a grassroots movement to change the minds of decision makers that this is the direction to go. So you're right, through education, parents, PTOs, it's gotta be kind of a more than one voice needs to be saying this.
So, Jason, are you feeling pretty confident with the movement that you're making with these bills that are in in the Senate, and then with McMahon, the director of school, those movements? You feel confident that this is going to go far and wide?
To be honest, I don't have a lot of confidence in the political world in any way, shape, or form. It's one of those things where it gets to a certain level and it's completely out of my control, and that's where it's at now. And so all I can do is what I can do, and what they do, I really have no say in it other than trying to educate them as quickly as I can, and hopefully you get some people that will actually listen. If Linda McMahon comes out, that's going to be awesome. Like I said, it was supposed to happen last week, and I do know America First is all in with us, and they're a pretty influential group in the Republican Party, so that's good.
Oh, that's exciting. Sorry about that. I got a little distracted. I had an email coming through. So, you guys, if you have a question for Jason, he's going to be here with me. We're going to do a show about every 2 weeks. He will come up and kind of give us an update on everything. And but now's your time. Ask questions because obviously this is a very serious situation that we have seen many times happen. And he's got a solution. So, and he needs some help trying to get the word out there to the people to get this system in all the schools, as you said, all the schools. That's a lot of schools. Go ahead, John. John, did you want to say so? I gave you that mic. Did you want to say hi?
Hi, Bob.
How are you?
Good. Thanks for bringing me up, Jenny. Jason, I got a question for you. So, in comparison from private to public schools, it's kind of part 1A and B question. The first part is, do you have a breakdown in the stats of school shootings, private versus public? And then the second part to that would be, what if you just, made part of the public system irrelevant in a way? I don't know if that makes sense, but and just focused on the private, or would that be counterproductive?
To answer your first question, I have not broken down those numbers. I never really looked at it as public versus private. I always just viewed it as kids got shot again. Second question, you are 100% right. We have found that private schools are more, for lack of a better term, caring and not politically biased. Like when I walk into the Christian school we're installed in, it's a very good feeling when you walk in that building versus walking into a public school. You walk into a public school and you almost feel tension and kind of unorganizedness of it about it. But you walk into a Christian school and you literally feel like love and caring. And the school boards are night and day different as well. The public schools, they have an elected school board. Watching some of these school board meetings, I don't even know if they talking about curriculum anymore. It's just a bunch of shit that they're talking about that has nothing to do with education or our children. And then you go to the private side and you sit down and you talk to these folks and their parents. All their kids go there and they want what's best for not only their kid, but everybody in that building. So the writing was on the wall for me when we got our first install at Christian Heritage Academy, and their waiting list shot up 135% in a matter of 24 months. And what happened was, this is a $7,000 to $8,000 a year school. They would bring in potential new kids, and they talk to the families, and the families would ask questions about the school. Prior to 3D being in the school, they said, "What are you doing for safety?" And it was run, hide, fight. Now it's literally a 60-minute walkthrough on 12 different layers that are hidden, and parents are begging to get into the school primarily because the lengths they went to keep and ensure their kids' safety. But to answer your question, yes, I found that public schools are kind of a waste of time. We let them come to us. Private schools are much more apt to want to do something that's common sense to keep their children as safe as possible, whereas public schools are more into the political arena.
Did that answer your question, John?
Absolutely. It seems like the consensus across the board. So your sentiments are those of many, for sure. And it's an unfortunate thing too, because it's like you don't want to abandon ship, but in the same sense, the building seems to be coming down. Granted, they're doing stuff on the federal side, but it's on the state and local level that matters. And I mean, by the time that gets caught up, God knows how long that's going to take. I mean, damage is already done. So it's like you got to slow walk the public and attack, as much as you can on the private, it seems. But thanks, Jay. I
And
appreciate all you do, man.
oh, you too, John. I will say, if my kids were in first grade, they would not be going to a public school. I used to have a lot of pride in where I went to school. I was a public school, played football and hockey, loved my school. And it is not what it was when I was a kid. It's not what it was when my kids were kids, and they're still kids. But it's changed so much in the last 5 years. It's just, especially Minnesota, there was a push to remove all school cops. There was a push to not have cops armed in school. They tried to change the use of force laws for school resource officers, that they could not go hands-on. They basically set up the position so bad that departments were pulling their cops out of schools just to protect their cops. So it's just that was a political push to, for whatever reason, get the cops out of schools. I think we all know what the reason was, but it's public schools, just, they've changed so much that I actually don't care for them, to be honest with you. They've changed too much.
So with that being said, so with all the threat and everything, and the whole C-19 situation where we were there on lockdown, right? Nobody was going to the schools, but ever since, seems like it's been back. People have been back into school. They were really pushing hard for the homeschool, and now I even know here with friends of mine's kids, there's a lot of threats that go on at the school. I mean, they're notifying the parents of these children. I mean, there for a while with one of my friends' schools, it was like once a week about something. And so, what are your thoughts? Because a lot of people are doing the homeschool now. What do you foresee, in your opinion? What does that look like for something that you do? Because if this continues more and more, and people don't feel safe with their kids going to school, then you're probably going to see a lot more people doing the homeschool.
I think school choice is going to be interesting. I really do. When you have, like in Minnesota, when you have a pocket of schools that have created a safe school, a safe learning environment, and now all of a sudden school choice, you're going to see parents' decisions coming out of the woodwork on why they're sending their kids to a specific school. And for me, with my kids, and I think anybody who has a heartbeat, I just want my child to be safe, have fun, and learn something. Everything else is fluff. Just number one, be safe. And I would not send my child to a school that did not have our system or a similar system in it that is going to actually stop a bullet. because I can't be there and protect them. So it's a lot of hope on parents that the teachers will keep my child safe. And unfortunately, the teachers don't have the tools to do that.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing. Like, you're sending your kids to school thinking that they're going to be in good hands, right? You know, school's responsible for them at that time, but unfortunately, we haven't seen much of that here, especially here in the last few years, and it's pretty scary.
Oh, it's very scary.
All right, everybody. Request a mic if you have a question for Jason. Like I said, we're gonna be doing these every 2 weeks. If you come in late to this podcast, you guys can listen to it on the replay. I will download it and upload it to those locations I mentioned earlier. But yeah, go ahead and feel free to request a mic. If not, Jason, I don't know. Do you want to close us out with anything?
Like a song or what?
Well, sure. You want to sing?
No, I don't want to sing.
Or you can tell us some of your great stories that we just crack up with you about.
You guys have enough ammo for years on me. I'm not going to provide any more.
Oh, we love it though, Jason, and you're such a good sport. And you know, guys, Jason is he's an all around great guy, doing some amazing things for our kids. So, and again, everybody, it's about the kids. This movement is truly about the kids. We know they're coming for our kids. So we need to do whatever we can to protect our kids on all avenues. So again, like I said, if you know somebody in your area that's interested in this, reach out to me at therevivalofamerica@yahoo.com. I will get you in contact with Jason, and you guys we can get this system in your location. So with that, Jason, go ahead.
I want to give everybody an example of what I'm talking about as far as the loud parents and why we just did a presentation to a state. I won't say which one, but the person I was talking to asked one of my representatives to not discuss this meeting publicly. And I thought that was kind of weird. And anyway, this representative of ours was getting questions on Facebook from parents. How'd the meeting go? And he basically said the meeting went really well. Ball's in their court. And I got a nasty letter from this guy. He didn't want the parents to know. And I know why, because he doesn't want to field all the complaints on why aren't you doing this. So if you go back to Black Lives Matter and up here in Minnesota, when that big push was going on, our school board meetings were packed with very loud people that wanted specific flags in classrooms, that wanted specific things being taught to their kids, and demanded it very loudly. And the school caved. So they were allowed to put these posters in the school. Well, that was Pandora's box. So other kids were putting up Trump posters, and those kids were getting in trouble. So my point is, they got organized as a group and demanded it, and they won. Not a good cause, but still they won. Where's the passion with our parents on this topic? That's the one thing that I keep questioning people is, it's one thing to talk about it. It's another thing to say, you know, I hope all the kids, I mean, it's one thing to talk. It's another thing to do. And that's where, like, when I post a video, I need your help. We need to organize a little bit and stop letting politicians, architects, and educators decide what's best for our children. That should be the parents' responsibility. And at some point, I hope the silent majority starts to get a little louder about it, because that will make waves. So there's a printable PDF on our webpage. Print that off and give it to your school board, give it to your principal. Just make them aware that there's something out there that could possibly save all your kids' lives if something bad happened in your school. And define school safety. What is school safety? Ask them that. What is your definition of school safety? And if they don't say anything close to cover, concealment, communication, they don't know what they're talking about. They have no tactical experience whatsoever. Without those 3 C's, you have about a 17% chance of survival. If you just have cover, you have about an 85+% chance of survival. And that's from the National Officers Tactical Association, pertaining to officers involved shootings. So right now our kids are going to school at that 15% mark. that if something happens, it's not, they have no tools.
That's a scary statistic. Wow. When you say it like that, I mean, it's scary in general, but wow, when you break it down like that, that's scary. Oh my gosh. Well, Jason, I want to say thank you for being here. Everybody, Jason's going to be here, like I said, every 2 weeks. Give us some updates. Come next time with your questions. Jason, thank you so much for being here. And let's help get this 3D system out for Jason and his company, and help protect our kiddos, guys. So with that, thank you, Stellar, for being here. Thank you, John. Thank you, Jason. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
See ya. Thanks.
All right. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
This space was downloaded via spacesdown.com. Visit to download your spaces today.